Have you ever looked at someone you love and felt like you knew them inside and out, only to find out it was all a lie? That's my story. My name is Elodie, and for years, I thought I had the perfect marriage with Grant. He was my rock, my best friend, the man who smiled at me every single morning and told me he loved me. We were building a life together, planning our future, dreaming of the family we would have. But behind that smile, Grant was living a double life, a secret so devastating it would shatter my world into a million pieces. This isn't just a story about betrayal. That's a story about survival and finding the strength to rebuild when everything you believed in turns out to be a carefully constructed deception. Our love story started like something out of a movie. We met in college, a classic campus romance. He was charming, funny, and incredibly kind. When he looked at me, I felt like the only person in the room. Our courtship was a whirlwind of late-night talks, shared dreams, and this overwhelming feeling that we had found our other half. After graduation, we got married in a beautiful ceremony surrounded by our friends and family. Everyone said we were the perfect couple, and I believed it with all my heart. We bought a small house in the suburbs, adopted a golden retriever, and settled into a comfortable, happy routine. Grant worked as a consultant, which meant he traveled frequently. At first, I hated it. I'd count down the days until he was back home. But he was amazing at making me feel close, even when he was miles away. He'd call every night, send sweet texts, and bring me back little souvenirs from his trips. He'd tell me, "It's all for us, Elodie, building our future," and I believed him. I supported him, managed our home, and waited for the day his travel would slow down so we could start our family. The years passed, and our life was good, or so I thought. I was so wrapped up in our love that I missed all the signs, the tiny cracks that were forming in our perfect facade. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday. Grant was supposed to be in Chicago for a 3-day conference. He called me that morning, just like always, telling me he was about to head into meetings and that he loved me. Later that afternoon, I was at the grocery store when my friend Sarah called me, panicking. Her car had broken down about 40 minutes outside of town. Her phone was about to die, and she was stranded. Without a second thought, I told her I was on my way. I drove out to where she was, and as I was helping her call a tow truck, a car sped past. It was Grant's car. I saw it for just a second, but I knew it. The color, the dent on the bumper. And I saw him. Grant was in the driver's seat. My heart stopped. It couldn't be. He was in Chicago. I must have been mistaken. I tried to convince myself it was just a similar car, a man who looked like him. Sarah even said, "You're just missing him, that's all." I wanted to believe her. When Grant called me that night, his voice was normal. He asked about my day, and I almost brought it up, but I stopped myself. What would I say? "I think I saw you driving near our town when you were supposed to be 600 miles away?" It sounded crazy. I told myself I was being paranoid and pushed the image out of my mind. But a seed of doubt had been planted, and it started to grow. Over the next few weeks, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Grant was just as attentive, just as loving, but I started noticing small inconsistencies. He'd mention a restaurant he went to in a city he was visiting, but when I'd look it up, the details wouldn't match. He'd be exhausted from a long flight that was only an hour long. I started paying closer attention to our finances. That's when I found the second crack. A credit card statement, one for a card I didn't even know he had. It was sent to a P.O. box, but a copy had been accidentally mailed to our home. My hands trembled as I opened it. The charges were not from Chicago or Dallas or any of the cities he was supposed to be in. They were from a town just an hour away. There were charges for dinners for two, hotel rooms, jewelry stores, and even a monthly rent payment for an apartment. My breath caught in my throat. It was real, the man in the car, it was him. He wasn't just cheating, he was living another life. The smile he gave me every morning, the "I love yous," the future he promised, it was all a performance. I was his stable home base, the wife he came back to after living his real life somewhere else. I felt like I couldn't breathe. The world tilted on its axis. Every memory, every shared laugh, every tender moment was now tainted with this horrific discovery. Was any of it real? I spent the next few days in a daze, functioning on autopilot. I had to know the truth, the whole truth. Grant was due back from his latest trip in 2 days. I needed proof, something he couldn't deny. With a heavy heart, I drove to the town from the credit card statements. I found the apartment building. Using a spare key I had to his car, the one I wasn't supposed to have, I checked the GPS history, and there it was. Trip after trip to this exact address. On the day he was supposed to fly home, I didn't wait at our house. I waited at his other apartment. I sat in my car across the street, my heart pounding in my chest. Around 6 p.m., his car pulled into the parking lot. But he wasn't alone. A woman got out of the passenger seat. She was laughing and she leaned in and kissed him. Then, a little girl no older than 4 ran out of the apartment building and yelled, "Daddy." She jumped into Grant's arms and he swung her around, beaming. He had another family. A whole other family. The man who told me we needed to wait for the right time to have kids already had one. The pain was indescribable. It was a physical ache, a hollowing out of my soul. I drove home, though I don't remember how. When Grant walked through our front door an hour later, smiling his perfect practice smile, holding a souvenir for me, I just stared at him. The man I loved was a stranger. "What's wrong, Elodie?" he asked, his brow furrowed with fake concern. I laid the credit card statement on the table. "Who is she, Grant?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The color drained from his face. The mask finally fell. The confession that followed was a blur of excuses and pathetic apologies. He had met her years ago. It started as an affair, and then she got pregnant. He said he didn't want to lose me, so he tried to have both. He thought he could keep his 2 worlds separate forever. He actually tried to justify it, saying he loved us both. Loved me? He didn't know the meaning of the word. He had not only betrayed me but also this other woman and their child. He had built a kingdom of lies, and he was the only king. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I was numb. I told him to get out. To leave and never come back. The weeks and months that followed were the hardest of my life. I had to dismantle the life I thought I had, piece by piece. Telling our friends and family was humiliating. Filing for divorce was soul crushing. There were days I couldn't get out of bed, consumed by a grief so profound it felt like a death. But slowly, with the help of my incredible friends, family, and a therapist, I began to heal. I learned that his betrayal was not a reflection of my worth. It was a reflection of his own brokenness. I wasn't the one who was lacking. He was. Rebuilding my life hasn't been easy, but it has been empowering. I sold the house that was filled with his lies and moved into a small apartment in the city, just for me. I rediscovered hobbies I'd let go of and reconnected with friends I drifted from. I learned to be alone and to love my own company. I realized I was stronger than I ever thought possible. Grant's betrayal almost destroyed me, but it didn't. It forced me to find a strength within myself that I never knew I had. My story is a painful one, but it's not over. It's the beginning of a new chapter, one that I get to write all on my own. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories of survival and strength.